Here's our final learning goal of the unit. And it all starts with this idea when we talked about this new formula and the new graph. And, in particular, when we look at h being the distance between one point and the other. So one point is x, the other one is x plus h. And then the formula ends up being over h. And then we have the limit as h approaches 0. That's when then one point is approaching the other point. So that's a new formula. This will be a requirement for the test, so make sure that you know how to do this. And this is relatively simple. It's just a quadratic, but the fact that it's got a binomial squared makes it a little bit trickier. Right? We get this thing. Looks a lot like the one we did in the note, x plus h minus 1. You have to expand that. So here's the expansion of that. And then there's the plus 3, this. And then here is the expansion of the second bracket with the negative sign. Be careful of that. That is definitely something that if you're not careful, you could miss. And then the thing that we're looking for to happen won't happen. And that thing we're looking for, one of it primarily, is that the constants are going to add to 0. So I've got 1 and 3 minus 4. That's obviously 0. Then we put the rest, a lot of other things divide out. All the x terms, all the terms without an h in them also divide out. So you've got x squared minus x squared. And you've got x and 2x. So all those add to 0. So every term that I have remaining has an h in it. And I add those all up together, collect my like terms, factor out the h, and they divide to 1. And it's at that point that I can actually sub-zero in for h. I only had that one h left, and I get my expression. Now notice if we go back up, a few people miss this. It says determine the general derivative. So those instructions will be on the test, and that means this expression. It means the expression with an x in it. And then use that expression to solve for the slope of the tangent or the derivative at whatever value you're given, in this case 3. And notice how I said, so the derivative at 3 using function notation again, and then it's trivial. I just sub in 3 and solve. At that point, it's easy. But make sure you understand when it says a general derivative, you have to do this first, and then after the fact, sub in for 3. Pretty well done overall. If you didn't get the constants adding to 0, that's a key thing to look for, that you're on the right track. Make sure you expand that binomial properly. Those are some of the little things that could happen. As I said, make sure you know the formula. Those are the only real things to think about. Otherwise, it was quite well done.